Well, this is going to be an interesting week. I've seen this coming for a while, and I was wondering what, or maybe it's which, of the many celestial exchanges or interchanges that are going to be transpiring this week to focus on. I know there's one I want to focus on, but yeah, I got like 10 different things that each one of them I could probably talk for half an hour on. That's a long bit of things. I'm not overtly inclined to do sound bites like some of my other astrological compatriots, which thank goodness that they have the capacity to do it. But let me just read through the list that I comprised, that I saw that were taking place this week. And we will then go back and we'll try and do a version of soundbite on them. First off, Monday, we have a new moon. Always new moon. Time to reset our intentions for the next lunar cycle. And on the same day, the formation of a yod or yod that I have talked about last week, which has actually been in phase for the past couple of weeks, becomes very dynamic. And this is a yod which is a sextile between Pluto and Neptune, long-term process, which I mentioned last week. Each in a quincunx or inconjunct 150-degree aspect from a focalized planet, which, even saying that doesn't really do justice to what is taking place. It's Venus that is basically sitting there in the inconjunct or quincunx position from both of those two outer planets. And this happens when Venus moves particularly into its 28 degrees of Leo position, which is the same degree that it's going to be going retrograde later in the week. We'll go back to that. And that was just Monday. Tuesday, we have the nodes. I use the true nodes, are shifting position from their recent tenure in the signs of Scorpio and Taurus into the signs of Aries and Libra. Destiny. That's kind of what the nodes stand for. So there is a shift in a destiny energy that will be in play for the next while, year. Yeah, a year plus. And then we get to Thursday. Mars opposes Saturn across the Virgo-Pisces axis. And on that same day, the Sun trines Neptune, a water trine, giving us the potential for, that vitality, the Sun, being inspired by the dreamscape, by our imagination. Then we get to 21st, Friday. Sun opposes Neptune. Did I already say that one? I think I may have. Yes. Sun opposing. Oh, Sun opposes Pluto. How can it be trine and opposed to? That's that's one of the planets that's in the yod that is taking place, but that solar vital energy, what we represent in opposition to Pluto, a deep and profound dictate to pay very good and close attention to what are the factors in our immediate experience that we're going through that are ready to be let go of, released. There's a challenge at to allow things to, in one sense, die or pass away that really have been and can be an impediment to our trajectory forward, going forward. And on the same day, this is the day when Venus, it stations right there at that 28 degrees of Libra. Venus, our values and our artistic capacities, our, that energy that actually has us engaging at a relationship partnership level with others, is stopped in its forward motion. And this would be probably a unique time to consider and weigh out, since this is on the exact same day of that Pluto opposed to the Sun. There are, are there, I'd ask that question, are there potential people on your wavelength that could be weighing you down? Is it time to release them from the machinations of your world? Are they a distraction more than an assistance in what it is that your soul signed up for in the current incarnation? Saturday, the Sun forms a T-square to those nodes. So our solar vitality, and this is at essentially right there, it's on the same day because the Sun shifts into Leo on that day, which puts it in that T-square to the actually it's sort of, there's a transition experience going on there, that as the Sun leaves Cancer, where it is in that T-square to the nodal axis, its shift into Leo, which happens next, carries that nodal T-square axis, and having the node, the Sun in that square position from the two nodes, says that there's an energy represented by our solar vitality that's carrying some weight in how we play with that nodal destiny line in our own makeup. From not a minor consideration, the Sun, that essence of self, the solar vitality, and it's going into Leo. The reign of the king is on the table. It is the ruler of this king reign. And there's an energy signature of the Sun coming back into Leo that might incline us to be more inclined, more susceptible to taking chances. Because that is part of the aspect of the Leonian dance. And we will begin the month-long adventure of just where that chance-taking might lead us. Sunday ends up with Mercury coming into square with Uranus. And this is also going to be in that Leo-Taurus thing, fixed signs. In some fashion, Mercury, how we communicate, how we think and stuff, in a square to the unpredictable Uranian factor, may have us, let's see, more inclined to take that Leonian chance factor and be inspired to, open our mouths and say something that we may have been mulling around for a while, and it just leapt out. I, you know, you, Someone may say, I don't know where it came from, but the truth and the reality of it is, oh yes, you have been thinking about it probably for a season. Okay, let's take up our chart, Now, normally I will focus in on one particular energetic signature that's in play for each week, because that way I can dive into it a little bit more specifically. The one that I'm inclined to, and I've been essentially working with very substantially over the past little while, is the, let's go back to our Zoom. Yeah, I could see the chart, but you guys couldn't see it. So now we can see the chart. And yours truly up there in the corner. Okay. The yod that I'm talking about, here's Pluto, here's Neptune. They're in a nice sextile to each other. And a sextile energy says that these are two planets that they're talking to each other, and there's kind of a camaraderie. Let's call it a camaraderie, in that even though they're in different elements, Earth, Capricorn, and water, Pisces, the Earth and water signs actually can function with each other effectively. There's an energetic when they come together that says, oh, by the way, whatever topic matter is coming up, they have versions of their interpretation of them that are not so distracting from one another, and they can actually develop a conversational consideration for whatever they're going to be talking about. Now we have Pluto, and I've talked about Pluto many times. What are you willing, it's Pluto. I could go on and on about Pluto, but I don't want to go too on. I just say that from its affinity with the sign of Scorpio, there's a natural capacity to need to include the death rebirth process. Things need to pass away in order to make room for something else to be born. There's that death rebirth thing. And from Pluto's perspective, it drills down deep. There's an intensity to it. It drills down deep, that's penetrating into the topic matter to discover, the deeper ramifications of what is going on, so that it can expose to us any misinterpretations, miscommunications, misguided, or are they, versions of what is transpiring that get exposed. And Neptune, down here in Pisces. Neptune has an affinity with Pisces. Neptune is our dreamscape. It's our creative imagination released from the form world into the potential formless, or a creative space where things can be shifted, and a version of what life could be about comes a little closer to the surface. After all, dreams are a way for our spirit to give us insight into aspects of our living process that we may not, while we're wandering in our daily journey, be that aware of. And so we've got this potential for what does Pluto want to awaken, and how tuned into our spirit self is this connection transpiring. And then we get the inconjunct, which are these two quincunxes. You see this nice big giant pointed triangle down here to our Venus factor. One of the things about the yod is that I could say a lot of different things. Let's put it this way. This is a fire sign, and fire and earth and fire and water, they're not firing on the same wavelength. And one of the multiple versions of a yod that one needs to be aware of is that this, just from the elemental standpoint of fire, earth, and water in this case, none of them, well, the sextile, there's a similarity of willing, but you throw that fire in there, it's kind of like, well, wait a second, you've got a version of reality, Venus in this case, you have a version of reality that, might flummox our Pluto, Neptune, sextile over here, saying, well, wait a second, I'm not seeing things in that same particular light. And, I think back to some of the earlier versions of the inconjunct quincunx that says that in order for something to transpire between the energies of planets in and a quincunx, one of them will have to bow down to the other planet and give it the lead position. And, there's some of that in the mix. However, to expand upon that, if it's not quite that simple, in the fact that with a yod, what is actually transpiring is these theoretically three energy points are, the reason I'm diving into this is because Venus is going to go retrograde right here at this 28 degrees of Leo, which is going to facilitate the lingering effect of not only Venus retrograde, but this yod that is forming right now. And through the whole entire rest of this month, it's going to be in play. It's actually been in play already for this whole week. Now, how does a fixed Leo sign get along with a cardinal Capricorn planet and a mutable water planet? You can kind of see there's a lot of different energies that come into play there. And one of the human druthers that often can sidetrack us from really delving into this kind of a aspectual energy signature is that we want, as a human, to find a simple answer to things. Well, a yod doesn't present that because of the variety of energies that are in play. And there really isn't any one energy, celestial being energy of these three particular planets involved that has, what should we call it, has the reign over the others. You know, if we tried to pigeonhole one particular planetary energy in this and said, okay, we're going to let you be the lead at this time. Well, with a yod, the energy keeps shifting from one planet to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's, to try and make a determination that says that this is the epitomal consideration for this particular planetary configuration would actually, it would create an energy signature that is fleeting at best, because their requirement is to keep the antenna up, that as we go through this yod experience for the rest of this month, there will be times when our Venusian side is, playing a very strong factor. And, the fact that during this rest of this month, it's going to end onward, it's going to be retrograde in Leo. Here's our, our solar input into the experience, is that, the fields of our values and our relationships one to another are not necessarily going to be firing on all cylinders and present a clear version of what could or can transpire as we interact with one another. We're retrograde. We're going back over a part of the zodiac that Venus has already passed through, which is in Leonian fashion. There's, our artistic side in Leo is inspired to take chances, to present things that, may not necessarily be on everybody's wavelength, but something moves within each of us to put it out there, to test the waters, so to speak, of what is it that other people, and if you're thinking of Venus along the artistic side, remember, art is in the eye of the beholder. We may have a vision of what it is that our art is saying, but that's just our vision. Art it's like a language. And, we're talking this Venus artistic expression. And speaking of language, you'll notice that Mercury, our language, is also in Leo. Can you sense the potential for some inspiration as to what it is that we might put out there? That's just the Venus factor in this yod. And I've already talked about the Pluto and the Neptunian signatures that are in this mix that are going to be in play, as this Venus sits there stationary this week and then begins its retrograde motion back through Leo, joined by none other than the king of the planets, the sun, king of the planets. The king at the center of the solar system, this coming into its own sign, you can kind of feel an uptick in that, regal quality. Here's the essence of the lion at work, expressing. That's a kind of energy that, is, as far as this yod goes, in order for me to discover what it is that I want to express, what am I from a Plutonic perspective, willing to allow to pass away so that there can be room for something else to put in an appearance. And how creative do I want to allow my imagination to be, and how deep into the depths of the Pisces realm am I willing to allow my spirit to forage? And, if you consider that on Monday this week, we'll have our new moon, the process of the new moon. I should read you the divination factor from Dane Rudger's An Astrological Mandala, or the Sabian symbol for that particular degree, where this intentions for what it is that this next lunar cycle might inspire us to contemplate as we figure out what direction do we, from a lunar perspective, want to go. This is the vision. A willful man is overshadowed by a descent of superior power. That could be that yod, the kind of power that Pluto wields. Not minor by any stretch of the imagination. And the keynote, the response of spiritual forces to the integration of personality through positive, willful endeavors. We're on this very same day, Monday, when the moon does its new moon dance, it moves into Leo. You can kind of almost picture an energy being, the moon in this case, striking forth after the new moon and stepping into the realm of Leo, therefore creating a creative space for the sun to step into. It says, here's a further read on that particular Sabian symbol. We are dealing here with a man who uses his will and positive imagination in facing his life problems. To him comes a Pentecostal descent of power. He receives the mantle of power, the grace, or the providential assistance, which can make him a true leader in his culture. Do you feel any regal Leonian potentials that might be at work in this particular lunar cycle we're going through? I hope so. Here we witness a more transcendent expression of success. It is not merely external success, as it is given by society to its prima donnas, but a spiritual response, a sign of inner strength, and uncommon endowment. If I were to put this in a compound one-word thing, I would say, wake up. This particular lunar cycle, combined with the yod that is inspiring aspects of us that we don't necessarily find comfort in, but there's enough variety transpiring to keep us just slightly out of balance. Venus, ruler of Libra, balance. The balance factor is not necessarily going to be as readily perceivable as we might hope that it would be. Anyway, there's a lot of factors. This is a busy celestial dancing week. I went through all 10 of the different aspects, and I could dive into any one of them. I chose the yod because of the fact that that when this yod forms at the 28 degrees Venus and then goes retrograde, it's right on my descendant. The experience of how, and this is Venus, by the way, which has an affinity for that seventh house descendant point in the chart, is how is the field of relationship going to function? For me, that's, this is kind of the signature of this particular yod that is tickling that descendant part in my chart. It's going to be unique in everybody else's chart. And if, perchance, you want to, pay attention to where that 28 degrees in your chart is and what is being tickled and what venues might be on the table for you. Because there's other factors that go into the yod. You say, yeah, it's Venus. Venus is, that one that's going to be going retrograde and stuff. It rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. And so one has to, in any yod, we take, basically this yod that we're talking about, it's ruling this Venus and this Taurus. So essentially from this particular Aries, 0 degrees Aries chart, it's our second house, our values, and how we interact with other people. They're on the table in this particular yod. And Pluto, whenever Pluto's involved, you have to consider Scorpio because it has a strong affinity for it. Neptune, on the other hand, yeah, it's in its sign that it has the affinity for. So we have the potential for some 12th house, an area that people don't easily find comfort in dealing with. And the part of the fact that they don't is because they haven't discovered a trust factor that they can live into that affects the deepest, most core part of their realities. And until you do, that 12th house, it doesn't spell out, whoopee, let's party kind of an energy. It's more like, boy, do I want to take a chance in that area? I'm feeling like, I'm not feeling comfortable in there. Do I really know what it is to be a spiritual being? These are all 12th house kind of considerations. And if I do or if I don't, it's going to have very different outcomes in the trajectory that I aim my soul toward. So you can kind of see whenever a yod is transpiring, you've got at least 8 different factors in play. And this is part of the reason why when a yod takes place, trying to define it very specifically as this is what's going to be transpiring is, wipe that off the table. It's an energy that it's a variable energy that is going to be shifting, continually shifting of all these 8 different factors that are going to be in play. And this will be taking place in your particular chart to operate whatever houses are ruled by Scorpio, Libra, Taurus, Capricorn, Leo, Pisces. You see, this is not a minor energetic consideration. There's a lot in play. And, I suggest keeping all those energies in play and paying attention to the one that seems to attract you in any moment. Focus on it, because as long as it's in vogue, so to speak, that's it where you want to aim. Just be aware that it's going to shift. That's just part of how the yod works. Anyway, that's all I'm going to open up for this week. I do charts, people. I've been doing charts for, oh God, forever. And that insight of what astrologically you came as a soul being to develop in this particular incarnation is where my focus is on your chart when we sit down to consider it. So, astroshapeshifting.com or thelively.astrologer.com will take you to my website. Enjoy the week and just be aware that, try not to get too fixed. The tunnel vision idea this week is it's going to be a major challenge for you because of the potential distractions that the celestial dance that's going on this week is going to present for you to consider. So, ciao. See you all next week. Bye.